The Regional Education Laboratories, known as RELs, work to advance collaborative research while helping educators improve learning outcomes for students. Bringing relevant research to bear on education policy and practice is central to the REL mission. REL Northeast and Islands staff are learning how best to create meaningful conversations around education research. While researchers typically speak to other researchers through academic publications and conferences, educators often speak a different language. They are more likely to learn about new ideas through professional development and from their colleagues. Sometimes research findings don't connect with practitioners' experiences. The context of a study may differ considerably from a teacher's or administrator's reality, and they may not see the relevance of findings to their own situations. Further, researchers, always conscious of study limitations, may not feel comfortable providing the type of specific recommendation that practitioners want. The RELs recognize that special attention is required to bring researchers and educators into conversation together. So they have devised forums called Bridge Events. REL Director Jill Weber explains.
So Bridge Events really provide forums to discuss both applications and implications of a body of evidence. We've often had practitioners from our region and beyond who talk about the implementation of the research findings in their own context. So it's not just research to practice, but it's also practice to research. There's also the element of research to policy that plays into this.
Bridge events can take different forms: a face-to-face workshop, a day-long conference, or an online forum or webinar, all of which provide thoughtful and interactive discussions. The typical Bridge event includes a research presentation followed by a response from practitioners or policymakers. Through this exchange, participants learn about an ongoing line of research, and researchers get a better understanding of educators' perspectives, which can inform future research questions. Participants have told REL staff that Bridge events provide important professional development. They like hearing about specific findings in a larger context and comparing the viewpoints of researchers and practitioner discussants. Many cite the value of peer-to-peer sharing, which refines thinking, sparks curiosity, and gives new ideas to try. Here's Dana Brown, principal, Malden High School, and member of the REL Governing Board.
Most folks in schools don't get a chance to really delve deeply into research. So when you get that research-based point of view combined with the practitioner's point of view, that's rich. If the topic is too narrow, that's not enticing enough for me to get involved in a Bridge event. If Bridge events are going to continue to attract school-level folks, there has to be a practitioner's viewpoint.
Early childhood researcher Catherine Scott Little.
Researchers are in their field because they're interested in the topic, but also because they want to make a difference. But a researcher can't do that by themselves. Talking directly to practitioners and listening to their questions is sort of like a barometer, helping you gauge where there might be confusion, almost instant feedback. To have that connection to practitioners causes you to be able to ask different questions or think about things in a different way.
More and more, REL Northeast and Islands produces Bridge events online. Peter Orn describes why.
The other reality with virtual formats is that we can reach 5 or 10 times more stakeholders. We'll end up with a webinar recording that can be instantly archived and shared with yet even more people over the internet and potentially for years to come.
So, online or in person, what makes a successful Bridge event? It's all about careful advanced planning and recruitment of researchers, discussants, and audience members. REL Research Alliances, the partnerships of regional stakeholders who share specific education concerns, are often the starting point for planning Bridge events. To focus an event, REL staff use data they have collected on the needs and priorities of the region and then consult with alliance members and the REL's governing board. Jill Weber again.
Now that research alliances are such an important part of the work of the RELs, we've shifted from producing events for people to producing events with people, with our alliance members, with these multi-stakeholders who have different viewpoints that really help us frame the events.
Leslie Hergert explains further.
Bridge events can play a different role in different phases of the alliance's work. In the case of the one that we just did, we were early in the agenda setting process, so we wanted to provide a basis of research that would be helpful both to members of the Alliance but also reach a wider audience. Next year, as we get closer to doing our studies, we'll provide bridge events on topics that are directly related to the subjects that we're working on.
REL staffers seek out education researchers with strong credentials who can place research findings in a larger context and respond to varied audience members. REL staff members then coach the speakers to ground their remarks in evidence and forward questions submitted during online registration. The researcher may identify pre-readings for participants and provide input into interactive polls for the session. Anthony Petrosino talks about preparing Professor Jeff Wayman for his presentation on data-informed districts.
I think an important element for a successful bridge event is working with the speaker and providing them information on the composition of the audience, talking with the main stakeholders, finding out what their needs are, and trying to find a match between what the speaker is comfortable speaking on and what the audience is really looking for. Jeff spoke to broader principles that engaged a wider set of concerns from a wider group of participants.
Careful selection and preparation of practitioners or policymakers to serve as discussants is critical for grounding the research presentation in a real-world context. REL staff coach the discussants to share a case study from their own experience or to offer reactions to the research presentation, helping the discussant prepare a succinct response that zeroes in on essential information. Attracting the right audience for a bridge event requires a series of targeted tasks. The invitation campaign includes outreach to Research Alliance members and their extended networks, an email contact list filtered by interest area, role, or geography to target those likely to be engaged by the topic, the Institute of Education Sciences online event calendar, and social media like Twitter. The success of online bridge events depends on interactivity. Moderators and presenters take advantage of the usual tools: chat rooms, whiteboards, and polls. Aubrey Shepnatora's comments.
For us, polls have definitely been a great way to really engage the audience members. We were able to get a really good sense of what the audience was interested in learning about at the very beginning of our webinar. The online chat is helpful because you can actually ask questions as you think of them.
An experienced online moderator keeps the pace moving, planning for frequent pauses for the participants to ask questions. Jackie Barassa describes the process.
We planned for engagement by selecting one question that had been submitted at registration that could be responded to by each of the presenters. So we tried to balance the prepared questions with the impromptu ones. Facilitating engagement is the same balance that a teacher faces in the classroom. Planned presentation must be balanced with the teachable moment. Something that pops up in the chat.
Is it realistic to think that an online bridge event can be as interactive and as meaningful as a face-to-face session? Peter Orn thinks so.
We're actually finding ways to make webinars as meaningful and perhaps even more immediate and certainly less taxing than a face-to-face experience. So the expectation today is to create engaging sessions through a diversity of perspectives, breaking down the lecture format and by including a lot more opportunity for interactivity.
The real payoff for bridge events happens after the event, when participants continue to interact through discussion boards or wikis and then bring the information into their own practice. After one online bridge event, REL staff collected unanswered questions from the chat and gave presenters the opportunity to post written responses. After another, staff compiled and posted references and resources cited in the chat. The interactions created between researchers and practitioners have the potential to change the culture around education research, as Research Director Julie Kohanek concludes.
The Research Alliance model will help us grow as researchers to propose, design, and conduct research that is increasingly more relevant and useful for practice.
Visit the REL Northeast Islands website to view an archive of bridge events and to sign up for notifications about future bridge events and for the REL newsletter. This production is one in a series to explore the journey of REL Northeast Islands under its 5-year program of work.